Welcome to another episode of Going Ultra Season 2. Right now, I'm going to be discussing Ultraman 2019 Episode 9. This episode sees the introduction of Ultraman Cash Money, or Ultra Lad, Seiji Hokuto. I don't know his official Ultraman name. I've gathered, though, that this show is pulling in Ultras from all across the Ultra series and putting them into one continuity in the sequel. This spin-off sequel reboot type thing. And I don't know who this kid's supposed to be, but Seiji Hokuto is his street name. Sorry, making such an ass out of myself. So this kid comes up to Shinjiro saying he knows his identity, and then it turns out he's got an Ultra suit. In the beginning of the episode, we saw him watching the video of Bemular possibly destroying that plane, and he looked pretty pleased with himself. We also saw that he had fat stacks of cash. Somehow he was able to get grown men to not run away when each of them had seen another guy prone on the floor. Well, first there was one guy who he beat up, and then a second and a third, until he had like 6 or 7 guys who maybe he was blackmailing or whatever, who he was beating up. And anyway, just funny stuff. Gosh, I really don't know what to say about this episode. I liked it overall. There were, the elements were enjoyable, taken separately. Were they all in little shorts? I think I would have enjoyed them. But it didn't really feel like there was much of a thread carrying the narrative forward. Basically, the thread is, or the through line is, there's a new Ultraman in town. The citizens are more aware of Ultraman. God, I love that. Anyway, and aliens are becoming more accepting of people knowing about their existence, so they're not hiding themselves, and they're not staying in the shadows. And by golly, they need driver's licenses. Anyway, sorry. I live in California, so that's a great California illegal alien joke. Although most of the aliens, literal aliens in the show, are registered and, have their paperwork. So, whatever. That's not something I want to walk into right now. But anyway, there are some key things that I would like to talk about that are interesting things to speculate on or to analyze. And one of them is this, that Moriboshi says, as the Science Patrol SWAT team or Science Patrol Armed Force people are down in the sewer where there's a dead alien or a couple dead aliens. One of them remarks one of them remarks that, these aliens, they, I don't know, I can't remember what he says, but I do remember there was a woman among them, and I checked in the Japanese and it was a woman too, and I thought it's too bad I can't talk about in your face, people who hate, women being included in things, because had it been a man and in the suit and then they just dubbed in a woman's voice, I would have been happy with that, because why not? But I would have been happy about that for very good reason. The Science Patrol has always had women in it. If you look back at the original Ultraman, there were maybe 2 women on the crew. So, why not? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, what's more important is that Moriboshi talks about the fact that the aliens are willing to attack humans and to take human lives, not because they are vicious monsters, but rather because the aliens regard humans the same way that humans regard monkeys or apes. And I thought that was very interesting. It's a very interesting perspective. Now, how does that jive with the fact that Moriboshi holds aliens who hold that opinion in such low regard, where when they decide to stop feeling that humans are inferior and start showing that humans are inferior by murdering them, by sticking their tongue down their throat and eating out their insides, like the first guy that Shinjiro killed. How does this man, Dan Moriboshi, hold this view and then continue to hold apes or monkeys in such low regards? Is he happy to, bring a monkey in, or a chimpanzee or something, into a testing facility and, pour bleach on its eyes to see if it'll hurt humans? I guess this is probably me being naive, and of course I'm not in this world, And if I were, I'd probably think differently. But just from an outside perspective, if aliens treating humans like less than, like subsentient beings who do not garner the same rights as they do, because I'm sure aliens would be mad about you violating their, human rights, for lack of a better term, then shouldn't you, Mr. Moriboshi, not be in the mindset of the aliens who are more advanced than us technologically and scientifically and all these things, but not morally, clearly, not philosophically? Shouldn't you then take that attitude and turn around and elevate the way you think about the world and your interactions with it, whether it be just nature in general or animals? Should you think of monkeys and apes as things that you can just destroy because you have that much right over them? I guess from an evolutionary perspective, that is a fair thing to do, but I don't function on a evolutionary perspective. I find the research and the thinking that comes out of evolutionary psychology to be fascinating, because it kind of makes sense of a lot of things. And I find it at times a constructive way to look at the world and humanity and how humanity has evolved and changed and adapted to our environment over time. But as a POF, a person of faith, I believe that we aren't superior to nature and to animals and given the permission and the right, the birthright, to just crush it underfoot. I believe in the concept of stewardship, which is I'm going to call it a Judeo-Christian value, because it's present in both, really. And yeah, I don't believe that just because I am superior to animals, which I do believe I, as a man, as a human being, am superior to animals. My life is more valuable than that of a random animal, or, any animal. Probably not more valuable than any other human beings. Just inherently, I think we're all kind of on the same scale, but that humanity and human lives are more precious than animal lives, and I guess like plant lives too, which a vegan would agree with, because you got to live, you got to eat something. I don't know, it's just interesting to me that I don't know what the philosophical underpinnings are of Moriboshi, or if there's any religious thing there for him, but it's ironic to me that you would detest being treated a certain way and you would continue to treat others that way under you. Which, people do that all the time. Honestly, I guess it's not that ironic. It's a common human trait or reaction to being mistreated, is that you internalize that hurting. Hurt people. Have you ever heard that one before? You probably have, but if you haven't, here you go. Brought to you by Ultraman, or Ultraman Analysis. Gosh. So, anyway, that's interesting. I think I've reeled on about that for long enough. I'm going to go back to Ultraman Cash Money, and then stop off with Rena, and then a cute thing with Shinjiro, I think. Yeah. So, here we go. And I won't speculate on this too hard, but I want to know if it's possible that Ultraman Cash Money, that Seiji, is collecting money from people to fund the building of his suit. The tech looks like it's exactly made by the Science Patrol. Did he steal it from the Science Patrol? Did someone hijack it from the Science Patrol? What happened? I want to know what happened, because that doesn't make any sense unless the materials are stolen from the Science Patrol. Why does it look exactly the same? Shouldn't it be different? I think it should be. And I don't think that's like a plot hole. No bell ringing here, but I just think it's something to be considered. And I think if it turns out that it's not something that was secreted away from the Science Patrol, that's going to be a disappointment to me. Like, if it branched off at some point in the development of the Ultra Suits, that'll be cool. And maybe he is funding the stuff. But he says oh no, the suit, it malfunctioned and now my arms are useless or whatever. That was a cute, funny moment, but gosh, I don't know. Anyway, Kid loves inflicting violence upon people who he sees as unrighteous. That's an interesting idea. And he's not killing anybody, but he sure is dishing out the pain. And I don't know, is he doing it for the money, or is he doing it for, hey, these are bad guys, so I'm going to beat them up because that's what they deserve. They've, sinned and I'm punishing them. And I'll take their money too. It's kind of hard to tell what he's about, but it's interesting. And then Rena just like wearing glasses and still wearing her same like jumper skirt thing that she always like that she wore on stage. I'm pretty sure she wore the exact same thing on stage, except for then she had a little red, I don't know what they, not a bolero, like the little feminine, bow tie thing that female type people wear. It's funny, I have girls, but I don't know what the heck that's called. My wife has never worn one, so that's probably why I don't know what it is. Anyway, like, she took that off and she put glasses on, and that was it. And her manager is like, oh, don't tell me you did the hang glasses. But from a realistic perspective, like, did she not change in the manga? Did the mangaka not want to give her an additional outfit? Or, like, is that purposeful? Or is it just because it's in the animation and they didn't want to have to make another CGI model for... I don't know. It's weird. Kind of dumb. And then about Shinjiro, it's funny. He and the janitor at the Science Patrol Museum, or Ultraman Museum, whatever, I don't know what it's called, have this cute rapport, and like they're messing around with each other, like, yes sir, Roger, Roger, Space Cadet. Like, that's the kind of attitude of their little exchange with each other, and I thought that was really cute. And the guy I listened to the Japanese, he calls him Shin-chan, like the little crane guy, Shin-chan. So that tickled me. That was a lot of fun. And then one last thing, Persona 5, Something Else, and this have all had people in Japan having closed signs on the outside of their building, but the closed sign, you flip it over and it says that it's open. Why would you stick your closed sign on the outside of your building or your window or whatever? Because somebody could just flip it around. Oh, no, it's open. I tried to open it because it said it was open. And also, what if someone steals your closed sign? Why would somebody steal your closed sign? I don't know. Is Japan just a more high-trust society than SoCal where I live? It's very possible, but I would suspect that if I left a closed sign outside, somebody might steal it just to be funny. And that's all I have to say. I'm talking about stealing closed signs in California. I am not talking about Ultraman anymore. I gotta go. If you like this, go ahead and give me a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the other suggestions I have on the end card here. I've got a whole playlist, so you can check out the other Ultraman episodes where I talk way more about it. You can check out another Rider cast, and you can check out my Tokusatsu reviews in general, because I've been doing that for a while. It's been fun, and I'm going to keep doing it. That's all I have to say for now. So go out there and don't steal closed signs. Ciao.